Alrighty guys, we are back today, this time with a good old-fashioned tank review. I just want to say thank you to start things off, and today we will be taking a look at the IS2Shhhh, one of the more forgotten tier 8 Russian premium tanks. Um, it's definitely not seen as much as the IS5, IS3 and stuff, so we will take a look at this relatively unseen and unplayed tank. We'll do a stats rundown, and you'll get a double helping of gameplay, so I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into the stats now. And we are back today with the IS2Shhhh doing the stats rundown. I apologize if my voice sounds a little wonky. I have a wee bit of a cold and it's making my voice be kind of iffy, so let's get this done. First off, I do run mine with double rations in the improved fuel. Use all gun stats. That is how I currently have it set up. Gun rammer, improved modules, optics actually because camo is relatively useless on a heavy tank. I do run enhanced gun laying drive. I run the hit point buff, and I run the engine accelerator. I also run vertical stabilizers, and I would run repair kit and high-end consumables, but I don't have those, so yeah. Um, Getting into it, this tank has relatively low amount of hit points for a tier 8 heavy tank. It only, with the hit point buff, it only is going to be sitting at 1590, which is not terrible, but it's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum. View range is going to be 271 meters, so again, on the lower end of the spectrum. This tank does have APCR as standard, heat as premium, and HE as your obviously high explosive. Your DPM sitting just at the middle of the pack at over 2000, 2036. Your penetration's pretty good, but not the best at 221 millimeters with APCR standard rounds. Your alpha is again 400. Shell velocity is excellent at 1400 meters per second, so you can put fairly effective long-range firepower if you ignore the terrible gun stats. But we will take a look at that later on. Gun caliber, this is armed with the 122 millimeter. That is pretty standard for the Russian heavy tanks at this tier. The IS-5, the IS-6, IS-3 Defender all pretty much share the same gun. Rate of fire, you're talking about 5.09, so again, not the best rate of fire. Your reload time's just going to be just under 11.8 seconds. This is where things are actually fairly interesting for Russian heavy tanks. Your base 8 time is actually pretty good. Your dispersion's not very good at 0.389, but your gun stats and your dispersion are actually pretty decent compared to the other Russian heavy tanks. So this tank actually has pretty good gun handling for a Russian heavy tank compared to something like an IS-5 or an IS-3 Defender. Um, you're a fairly heavy tank. Also 7 degrees of gun depression is nice. 15 degrees of gun elevation is a little bit of a letdown. You're fairly-ish heavy tank, but not the heaviest. You're talking about 53 tons. 42 kilometers per second going forward is the second best at the tier. Only worse, I believe, than the IS-5, which is pretty speedy. But your ground resistances aren't good, so you're talking about 12 effective horsepower to weight ratio on hard, 10 on medium, and 8 on soft. Your traverse, again, is not the best. We will take a look at the armor profile here. This tank has a pretty weird armor profile. So your lower plate obviously has 100 millimeters on it, so it will be a weak point. Your upper plate is pretty decent actually. 120 millimeters of pretty well sloped armor, so if you can angle up your upper plate, you're gonna have about 300 effective. Your cheek of your armor is obviously going to be weak there, but you do have 90 millimeters of very well sloped upper side armor, and this is a rear turreted tank, so you can obviously side scrape fairly well, because most people will not think to shoot in the tracks. So if you come around a corner and angle up like this, you're going to be having an auto ricochet on the side of your tank, and if you can hide this inner cheek, people will not be able to shoot. Your turret looks fairly weak because it is basically just an IS-2 turret. Um, but at the same time, you have a lot of really troll angles and bits and pieces on this turret, so you will bounce a surprisingly high number of shots with that, but you cannot count on this turret in any way, shape, or form, which I think is one of the reasons why this is not run more in competitive events, because it does have 7 degrees of gun depression, a fairly bouncy upper plate when you're using your gun depression, pretty good gun stats, good penetration, but its turret just doesn't allow it to really hold down that much, unlike the IS-5 or IS-3 Defender or even IS-6. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. We will get into the gameplay next. Alrighty guys, we'll be starting off with the first battle here on Vineyards. This battle is going to kind of show you that this tank can pull off some long range, won't call it sniping, but long range firepower or mid range firepower, with the best in class gun stats that it does have among the Russian premium heavy tanks, of which there are a lot. Um, Again, this tank is relatively rarely seen. It's not as good a credit maker as the IS-5 or IS-3 Defender, but it is pretty decent. Its armor's not as good, I think, as the IS-5, but again, pretty decent. Just a rare tank, a relatively unseen tank. People don't really like it. I kind of like it, but at the same time, it's kind of frustrating. Anyways, you can see that this tank is fairly mobile, not nearly as fast as the IS-5, but at the same time, I'm able to get here. The 7 degrees of gun depression mean I'm pretty able to work this ridge line. I put one in the bush just as a speculating shot. I don't even get spotted there. T-30 broadside of his turret. Just going to let my aim time get down. Able to put one to the side of his turret. 414 damage roll. Just going to back off, reset camouflage, make sure I don't get smacked from that side. We have 2 heavy tanks going down. Their enemy team has 4 tanks here in front of me. Hoping this T-30 is going to come forward. Let's see maybe if I can get a shot to that guy. T-30 does eventually come forward. I can put another shot to the side of his turret. A little bit of a low roll there, but at the same time, damage is damage. It's just going to back up, reset camouflage. He does go down. AMX, able to put one in the back of his turret there. Relatively small target. Again, pretty decent gun stats for a Russian heavy tank with this. Fairly long reload though, unfortunately, so I'm not quite able to put another shell into the AMX 5120. Looking for one into the E75. Do you see the back of his tank there? Put one to the side of his tank. 382, so pretty decent. Just racking up the damage from this bush here. Waffle is pushing up. I'm going to load HE, go for the HE shot on him. He's moving into the side of his gun shield for 493, so damage is damage. Love the damage. Again, I'm just kind of camping bush here, leveraging off my teammates spotting for me. Probably should have pushed forward a little bit sooner at this point. People are starting to not want to push out. Gonna look for the kill on the waffle. He doesn't back up, so all the way, so I missed that shell. He goes down. I decide that the time has come to move in. I decided to maybe go for one on the STI, but he gets behind the building, so I will now go in. Try to snapshot the 5120 for the kill, but the IS-5 does it before me, so now it's time to put, like I said, push up. E75 is here. You can see that the 220mm pen is not really going to cut it for the front of his tank, but I will be able to put one to the side of his tank. I do bounce his return shot. Pretty much the only shell I'm going to take here, I believe. Going to leave that guy, go for the kill, go for the shot, put one into the side of the STI. Kind of get into a side scraping position, but he does go down. I take one shot, bounce that shot, work the bush the entire time. Was able to pick up 3K, 2.9K, relatively easy, 75,000 credits. Pretty easy match there, nothing really to worry about. Gonna hop right now into the second match. This time we will again be bottom tier. The penetration on this tank is good enough that you don't really have to worry about being bottom tier or top tier, although top tier is nice. I do have the legendary camo on this. Let me know if you like it. Anyways, guys, heavy tank. We have a couple of heavies, so we are going to decide to push the heavy alleyway. Just because that's what we want to do. Gonna let the IS-5 go in front of me. Um, he stops, annoying me a little bit, but just gonna keep pushing. I like to get on the outside here for Himmelsdorf. I like not having to worry about being shot from the left or the right. Here is where Russian gun handling is just I'm on the move into a P2. No idea. Just gonna back out here, side scraping, trying to keep my side armor at an auto bounce. Enemy IS-5 or IS-8 comes around. I put one into him, but take one into my side. I over-angled a little bit too much there. So we have traded fairly well though. Gonna load the premium just to see if I can go through his superstructure. My IS-5 and E-75 have pushed fairly hard. I can see that the enemy team does have a couple of medium tanks over on the flank, so I'm gonna say that now is the time to push. We need to get this JP2 out of the way. Our IS-5 misses his shots, tracks him, go into the lower plate. I'm gonna swing around the backside here, want to catch this Leo PTA. I'm willing to accept a hit to trade him for that, so that my IS-5 can eventually come around and put some shots out. Gotta kind of try to side scrape around the corner at the same time. I do eat one from him, but I get a pretty decent roll on him. Enemy IS-8 kind of missed his shell, donked it, so I know I'm going to at least have the reload, but at the same time I'm going to snuggle up to this Leo PTA. I do bounce off his lower plate. I should have gone for his cheek there instead of the lower plate. I'm going to have to over-angle around the corner. The IS-8 was going to go for our IS-5. I do get the kill this time, hitting his outside cheek. I'm wanting our IS-5 to back up, but he's decided to go hold down. I do put one into the T-5041, but our IS-5 misses, meaning that we have a very dangerous autoloader on our flank. I'm going to try to make sure I'm reloaded because he can clip me. He goes into the dip, but not enough time. I do pick up the kill. Side scraping around against this STA1. Notice that we have a heavy tank that's going to try to push around our flank, so they have a couple of guys left. We have a one-shot T-32. I know my upper plate is a bounce for him, so I'm going to try to angle my upper plate around the corner, but he does fire. Gonna get the track into him, keep him there for my team so that the two other heavies that were with me can push in. I'll take the shot because I have the hit points. I will load premium here just to make sure I'm going through. Get the kill on him. STA1. Gonna try to farm out a little bit more damage. Unfortunately, the IS-5 is in the way. I don't quite get the kill. But at the same time, I do pick up the top gun. Pretty decent amount of damage. And I finally pick up the golden McDonald's sign. The M of Mastery with 3,000 damage. Decent-ish 600 assistance damage, which is actually not that great. So, fairly low ace, but that just shows that this tank is not used a whole lot. Anyways, guys, thank you very, very, very much for your support. You guys are awesome. Please consider supporting me on Patreon. It'll be awesome if you guys do. If not, all right. But at the same time, might allow me to get a little bit more content out there. Maybe gets a little bit better package on my video editor, so I can try doing a couple of other things that I have been thinking about for a while. Join my Discord. We occasionally do count-ins and stuff. I will try to do a Friday stream. Can't promise that I will. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. You all are awesome, and tank on.